You probably woke up to a lot of noise today, and honestly, it's the kind of noise that matters for what Jerry Jones might do with the trade deadline. Here's the short version. A massive extension for an elite pass rusher just landed, and that one deal has cleared a path, a genuine lifeline, for the Cowboys to make a move without losing out in a bidding war. I don't want to bury the lead. This is why the trade market just shifted. For you as a Cowboys fan, that means the difference between watching Jerry pay up in a crowded market or picking off a quality player at a more reasonable price. So right away, tell me this in the comments. Would you trade a second rounder for a proven edge rusher right now? Say yes or no, and why. Before we dig in, quick favor. If you like this kind of trade and roster analysis, hit subscribe. We're pushing to 16,000 subscribers, and every sub helps get this channel louder so more fans see it. Back to the point, the article I read lays out the domino. One team locked up its top young pass rusher, which likely removes that team from bidding on other available edge options. That narrows the field for teams like the Cowboys, who have been circling talent and trying to decide whether to spend draft capital to fix a defense that needs immediate help. For the rest of this video, I'll walk through what that extension means, why Trey Hendrickson is the player name you should care about, how he would fit Dallas schematically, and the real trade offers. That makes sense. I'll keep things practical, no fantasy trades. And after we finish this chapter, I'll break down 3 realistic scenarios Dallas could choose from before the clock runs out. Ready? Let's get into the numbers and the decision Dallas has to make. Now let's unpack what this massive extension really means and why Cowboys fans should care. The Detroit Lions officially locked in Hutchinson with a long-term deal that reportedly gives him elite-level guarantees and an average annual value that puts him firmly in the top tier of edge rushers. What that does is simple but powerful. It removes Detroit from the market for any other pass rusher. Suddenly, teams like the Cowboys aren't competing with every contender in the league for a player like Trey Hendrickson. Less competition often means a lower price or at least more leverage at the negotiating table. And for a team like Dallas, timing is everything. The window to upgrade the defense before the trade deadline is tight, and having a bit of clarity on who's realistically available is huge. For context, front offices see guaranteed money as a critical factor. If a player's already locked up for multiple years with significant guarantees, other teams often step aside. That's exactly what happened here. Now, Hendrickson doesn't have Detroit chasing him, and that changes everything about how Jerry Jones and the Cowboys front office can approach a deal. Of course, it's not just about having fewer bidders, it's also about risk management. The more teams in play, the more you have to overpay, sometimes giving up multiple picks for a player whose impact might not match the cost. That's the last thing Dallas needs when building around Dak Prescott and maintaining a balanced roster. Here's where you come in. Do you think this news makes Hendrickson more affordable for the Cowboys, or does it just change the dynamic without really affecting price? Type more or less in the comments. I want to see what fellow fans think. And if this breakdown is helping you make sense of the trade market, drop a like right now. It keeps these videos in front of more Cowboys fans who are tracking these moves. In the next chapter, we'll dig into Hendrickson himself, his production, what he brings to a Dallas defense that's been chasing consistent pressure, and why a potential trade might make more sense than you think. But for now, understand this. That one headline about Hutchinson's extension didn't just shake up Detroit. It opened a clear window for the Cowboys, and smart fans know that timing in the NFL can be everything. Let's talk about Trey Hendrickson, because this is where things start to get really interesting for Dallas fans. Hendrickson has been one of the NFL's most consistent pass rushers over the past few seasons, and his numbers back it up. Since 2021, he's consistently pressured quarterbacks, recorded double-digit sacks, and shown up in big moments. Pro Football Focus grades him as a player who can win one-on-one matchups, get off blocks, and consistently collapse the pocket. He's not just a stats guy. He's a disruptive presence who can change a game with just a single play. Now, why does that matter for the Cowboys? Well, we all know Dallas's defense has been in need of a high-impact edge rusher, someone who can take pressure off Micah Parsons, help contain mobile quarterbacks, and force opponents into mistakes. Hendrickson fits that mold perfectly. He's proven, reliable, and doesn't come with the question marks of a younger, untested player. But let's be real, there's always a cost. Hendrickson is 30, which isn't old, but it does mean he's likely in his prime window for just a few more years. Teams trading for him will need to consider contract length, potential guarantees, and how it affects the cap this season and next. That's why draft capital is a big discussion point. Based on what we've seen in similar trades, a second-round pick, maybe with a conditional future pick, is realistic. Jerry Jones will have to weigh immediate impact versus long-term flexibility. And here's where I want your thoughts. Would you trade our second-round pick for Hendrickson? Comment yes, no, or only if conditional. Let's get a real conversation going. Another thing to consider is scheme fit. Hendrickson isn't just a generic pass rusher. He thrives in systems that allow him to pin his ears back and attack. The Cowboys' defensive scheme under Dan Quinn is aggressive, and Hendrickson can plug in without needing a massive adjustment period. Pairing him with Parsons could give Dallas arguably one of the most dangerous edge duos in football. But don't forget the financial angle. Acquiring Hendrickson will affect cap space, which could influence other moves, including re-signing depth players or making smaller upgrades elsewhere. This chapter isn't just about stats, it's about real strategy. The big takeaway is that Hendrickson is a proven commodity, with a clear impact on a playoff-ready Cowboys roster, and if Dallas makes this move, it would signal a win-now mentality. Stick with me, because next we'll break down whether the Cowboys can actually make this trade work financially and roster-wise, and which scenarios are most likely to unfold before the deadline. Now let's get real about the numbers and logistics, because even if Hendrickson is the perfect fit on paper, Dallas has to make the math and roster work. First, cap space. Adding a player like Hendrickson isn't just about sending a second-rounder. It's also about fitting his contract under the salary cap, both this year and moving forward. Dallas has some flexibility, but they also have key players to re-sign or extend, and hitting the cap too hard could force tough decisions elsewhere. That's why Jerry Jones and the front office have to think carefully. This isn't just a player acquisition, it's a balancing act across the entire roster. Next, roster needs. Dallas's defense has been solid but inconsistent at times, especially against elite quarterbacks who can escape pressure. Bringing in Hendrickson addresses an immediate weakness, gives Micah Parsons another high-level edge partner, and could make the defensive front one of the most feared in the league. But remember, the Cowboys have to weigh what they give up. Draft picks, especially second-rounders, aren't free. They represent potential starters, depth, and long-term building blocks. Trading that capital shows a win-now mindset, which Jerry Jones has never shied away from, but it does carry risk if things don't work out. Then there's timing. The trade deadline is a hard line. Deals can take days to negotiate, and uncertainty around other teams' interest adds pressure. Hutchinson's extension may simplify that by removing a competitor, but Dallas still needs to act decisively. Here's the takeaway. The Cowboys have three realistic paths. Option 1, they pull the trigger and acquire Hendrickson now, committing to a win-now approach. Option 2, they stand pat, keep their draft capital, and hope current pieces develop. Less risk, but also potentially less reward. Option 3, they wait to negotiate in the offseason, which gives them more cap flexibility, but also risks missing a player who could have an immediate impact. I want to know what you think. Which scenario should Dallas choose? Type buy if you'd go all in, stay if you'd hold, or wait if you'd play it safe. And if this breakdown is helping you follow the Cowboys' strategy, don't forget to like the video. It makes a huge difference in reaching more fans who want this kind of insider perspective. Up next, we'll close it out with a final fan verdict and my take on what the Cowboys should do, so stay tuned. All right, let's wrap this up and give a final verdict on what the Cowboys should do before the trade deadline. After looking at the Hutchinson extension, understanding how it reshapes the market, examining Trey Hendrickson's production and fit, and weighing the cap and roster realities, it's clear that Dallas has a unique opportunity right now. They can add a proven edge rusher without being caught in a bidding war, which is exactly the kind of strategic window that Jerry Jones has shown he can exploit. From a fan perspective, this is exciting. It's a move that signals a true win-now mentality and could instantly upgrade the defense, helping Micah Parsons and the front seven wreak havoc in the A2's playoffs. That said, the cost isn't negligible. Giving up a second-round pick, potentially a conditional future pick, and some cap space is meaningful, so it has to feel like the right deal. Now, here's where you come in. I want to hear your final verdict. Type trade now. If you want Dallas to pull the trigger immediately, no trade if you think the Cowboys should stand pat, or trade in off-season if you'd rather wait. We've had polls and comments throughout the video, but this is the one that really counts. And before we finish, a quick reminder. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button and help us reach 16,000 subscribers. It allows us to keep delivering this kind of content to Cowboys fans like you. Also, drop a like if you found this breakdown helpful and share the video with a friend who debates trades endlessly, because we're building a community that loves analyzing every move Jerry Jones makes. In short, the Hutchinson extension gave Dallas a lifeline. Hendrickson is a player who fits immediately, and the decision comes down to timing and risk tolerance. Whatever you choose, it's going to be a hot topic among Cowboys fans, and this channel will keep covering it with all the insight, analysis, and fan engagement you need to stay ahead of the deadline conversation.